Hello, everybody. My name is Brett Leichner, and this is my Module 12 Tort Law. What are tort laws? Tort laws are laws that speak about individuals being responsible for their actions or, in some cases, non actions. So essentially, it's just holding everyone accountable to what they do or, in some cases, what they don't do that could cause someone harm. That's a big aspect of tort law, is that it's going to cause someone harm. There are two types of torts. There's intentional torts and unintentional torts. Intentional torts would be something like battery or some sort of abuse, something that everyone knows like that's going to cause harm to a student. Unintentional torts would be something that like you don't intentionally want to harm the student, but harm does occur. And it doesn't have to be just students. It can be with anyone. I'm just speaking in terms of students because it's in terms of school. But negligence is a big thing in unintentional torts. So that would be not doing something that then your non-action causes some type of harm. Some of the torts that I researched as far as tort law goes, the first law or the first court case, that I found was Brochick versus Millard School District. This is an older one. This was done in the 70s, and this is where in the school they were in a PE class and they were in a golfing unit. The plaintiff was, the son of the plaintiff was not there the original day that the instruction on golfing and what to do during the indoor lesson. They weren't there for the introductory part of the lesson. The student wasn't trained. The student then asked another student for help. The teachers were busy with other students, and eventually the student that was trying to help ended up swinging and hitting the plaintiff's son in the head, and the son actually ends up dying from this. So the big problem also, other than obviously the death of a student, was that the PE teachers were not following the written protocol for this unit. If they were following the written protocol for the unit, they would not have been liable for the student's death, because the protocol had it in a much safer way. The students were not on top of each other trying to swing, so the student would never have had a chance of getting hit in the head with a club. So the mom sued for negligence, and she won this court case. If this happened at my school, some reactive steps that would happen. First off, there would be a staff meeting, and the staff meeting would then talk about like making sure that we were going over things and doing things the way the school has asked us to do them. Then we would probably have to sign off on procedures. So recognizing that we know the procedure for each task that we're asked to do. And then we would probably have multiple procedure days where we would review that and make sure that everyone's on the same page as to what is the proper procedure. Proactively, some things that we would do. One would be an informal walkthrough. If this was my school, just to make sure that people were doing things the right way. And informal walkthroughs, I mean, people don't know when you're going to show up. So by doing those walkthroughs, there's a good chance that, people will be trying to do what you want them to. I would also review the procedures with the staff annually. This is important because a lot of times it's easy to think that everyone knows what you're talking about when, it could have been a couple of years since you had talked about it. And then also something that I've toyed around with is the idea of weekly submitted lesson plans, so that I would know what I would be walking into on informal walkthroughs. And I know teachers hate those, but at the same time, it holds them to a level of accountability and could also help them in the long run by not having any litigation against them. The next court case would be Moon versus Hotchkiss School. The background for this is that a student went on a school trip to China. This student was bitten by a tick. The student then develops a severe reaction from the tick bite, and the student is then eventually uh, unable to speak because of this tick bite. The school was sued and they were accused of being negligent because they had not warned the parents or the student of any possible exposure to ticks. And from there, the school actually loses this case and they were held liable for this. Reactive steps would be possibly banning school trips. I mean, if something like this were to happen, I mean, it's really hard to say, hey, you're going to be exposed by ticks or this or that. I mean, I just think this kind of opens up schools to a lot of liability. So maybe just not having school trips altogether would be an option. The next thing would be to just try to, if you continue to go on school trips, just continue to try to warn students of every possible danger, warn parents of every possible danger. This is something that is, very difficult to do, but obviously something that schools are tasked with. Also, revising any type of school policy for trips to include these type of warnings and just making sure teachers understand what their roles would be is another reactive step that my school would do. If I was in charge, as far as proactive steps, I would make sure that there was research done on destinations, including any of the possible risks. I would want to make sure that everyone involved would know the laws in regards to negligence, because I think by knowing the laws, that opens up people's eyes a little more, and it allows them to realize the stakes that they have for these trips. Like, I had no idea some of these court cases even existed, and to be quite honest, like, this one seems a little ridiculous to me, that a student that got bit by a tick, while it's sad, really sad, this student, the parents sued and the school lost. I'm not sure how schools are supposed to account for all of that. So, again, just making sure, knowing the laws regarding negligence, just to ensure that every precaution is made. The next court case is Hall versus Jones. The background for this is during a basketball unit, there was a fight in a PE class. The teacher, when the fight broke out, was on the opposite end of the gym. The teacher was going to ask the female PE teacher that was across the gym, or to tell the female PE teacher across the gym that she was needed in the office. And so his back was turned. The fight broke out. Students intervened, and within the scuffle, a student was pushed and suffered serious head injuries. The teacher was sued for negligence because the teacher's back was turned, and the teacher ended up losing this case and was labeled negligent. Reactive steps, again, this is a tough one. I think reviewing protocols, just making sure that your back's not turned. Maybe creating smaller PE class sizes would help in certain ways. I know in my school, PE classes are huge and they're kind of chaotic anyway, and so that's a very difficult time if you're going to be held negligent for just turning your back for a split second. Then smaller class sizes would be a must. Again, that may be hard for my school though because of financial difficulties, but again, that may be something that they try to do. Proactive steps, things that I would do to make sure that something like this doesn't happen. I would just, again, make sure that the teachers know the law. That's really important. Also, I think meeting on the procedures twice a year would be important. And then again, the informal walkthroughs. I'm going to end up running out of time on this video, so I'm going to stop it now, and I'm going to have to break this video into two. I apologize about that, and I hope that you keep watching for part 2.